As we come upon episode 100, I've been thinking a lot about more than blockchain and where I want the future to go. And so in this episode, I'm going to talk about why, once we get into 2024, there will no longer be free crypto information coming from me. At least far as like, hey, let's hop on a call and talk about crypto. Because for the last 6 years, I've offered that. And also moving forward for more than blockchain, there will no longer be any free guest appearances. If you want to come on the pod, you're going to have to pay. And that's just kind of like where things are going. So let's dive into why both of those are no longer going to be free. I'm Jarrett Carpenter, and this is More Than Blockchain. Since I first bought Bitcoin back in 2017 from a Bitcoin ATM, I have been talking about Bitcoin and crypto, and then the last couple of years, NFTs with a lot of people, friends, family, even strangers. People will say, hey, what are you interested in? What are you working? And I'll talk about Bitcoin or crypto. And then there starts a whole new conversation. Even now, where I live currently in Bogota, Colombia, I talk about Bitcoin a lot with one of my Venezuelan waiters at the place where I get lunch every day. He's super fascinated by currency as a Venezuelan, where he's seen his own currency essentially become worthless. So as we move forward, as they would say, I'm going to stop giving game for free. And part of this is just to protect my own energy. Over the last 6 years, I've spoken with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people about this. People that honestly genuinely showed interest and curiosity. And I think you need interest as the first thing before you ever invest, or before you invest even your time. As it said, the 3 steps to basically making an investment of either your time or your money is first interest, then you get some info, and then finally you have a decision point, whether you're going to invest or not. And I've had hundreds and hundreds of people come to me with a lot of interest. Then I provide the info, and then I don't ever even see an investment into learning more. Never mind even, in Bitcoin's case, buying $5 of Bitcoin, which I will advise to anyone, even if I'm not supposed to as a, quote, not financial advisor. But I've kind of grown tired of giving people game, as they would say, providing people with info, providing people with links, providing people with PDFs, providing people with podcasts that I've created to talk about certain things. Whether that's crypto, Bitcoin, NFTs, DAOs, or really any part of the blockchain-backed ecosystem. So I really found myself at a time where I'm going to start charging people if they want information or they just want to hop on a Zoom. I've hopped on Zooms probably 50 to 100 times, somewhere in there, and I know that's a big range, over the last 3 or 4 years, just to help walk people through crypto, walk people through, okay, I think this is where you want to get set up on an exchange. This is how I use CoinMarketCap to kind of look up a project. These are the things you want to think about when you're looking up a project. And I've done that a lot. And I've spent a lot of my time. And time is energy. And so moving forward, I want to protect my energy more. And in order to do so, I'm going to ask that people pay me for my time, even if they have simple questions about Bitcoin. And the way I'm going to do this is, well, before I get into the pricing structure, let me also jump into the fact that I've now done 100 episodes, or this is episode 98, but in 2 weeks, I will have recorded 100 episodes for More Than Blockchain. And I've had on guests from all over the world, 6 continents. And I've never asked them once to pay to come on the podcast and basically leverage my platform to tell their story because it wasn't important. And to be honest, maybe it still isn't. But something that's happening and that I'm starting to see is that I have a platform that is valuable. And people will and are open to paying to come on the platform and to talk about their project, tell their story, etc. Basically, it's a public place where they can come on and talk about their project and build their company's brand or build their personal brand. And since starting More Than Blockchain, I've really been against the idea of having ads in the middle of the content, where you're listening to me now, and all of a sudden I stop, and then I talk about, hey, you should buy this, hey, you should buy that. I really pushed back at getting sponsorships just because I feel like it waters down the content. When I listen to another person's podcast and they're giving me amazing information, amazing alpha, I'm learning, and then they cut it off and then they shill toilet paper or they shill a t-shirt or they shill whatever they're going to shill. That's how they're getting paid. I've always tried to avoid that. So by asking people to pay to come on my podcast, I avoid basically muddying the waters of the actual audio content, the content that you're listening to, by monetizing the podcast in that way. So moving forward, starting in 2024, I should say, if you want free crypto information from me, you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to pay for my time to hop on a call and ask me a question about Bitcoin or ask me a question about Ethereum or ask me a question about NFTs. And after episode 100, so starting with episode 101, any guest that comes on will pay to come on, unless, there's a caveat here, unless I invite them. I have a pretty big community now of people in crypto and Bitcoin, and unless you get invited on, there will be a price. Now, let's talk about pricing. The way I've thought about this is if you want to come on my podcast, you're going to have to pay 1% of Bitcoin's price. So if Bitcoin is at 10,000, you'll pay $100. If Bitcoin is at 100,000, to come on the podcast, it's going to be $1,000. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is so it's kind of dynamic, right? So if you hop on in a bear market, if you hop on when maybe it's not as exciting, you're going to pay less because the reality of it is, and I could show anyone who wants to see this, that the analytics of More Than Blockchain align almost exactly with the Bitcoin price. And what I mean is, when price was really, really good in 2022, when I rebranded from Wi-Fi and Water to this podcast name, More Than Blockchain, I had a lot more listeners. This past summer, listenership was down because Bitcoin was down, crypto was down. But as things pick back up, there's going to be a lot more attention and there's going to be a lot more people going to Spotify searching Bitcoin, searching blockchain, searching Ethereum, searching crypto, and searching NFTs. So as the market goes up, as there's basically more attention in the attention economy or more ears and eyeballs focused on the content that I'm going to be creating, I'm going to then ask that people pay more. So if you want to come on the podcast and be a guest, you're going to have to pay 1% of whatever Bitcoin's price is. So if it's $10,000, that will be $100 per episode. If Bitcoin is at $100,000, then it will be $1,000 per episode. And this same pricing tier will go for anyone interested in learning about crypto or Bitcoin. If you're interested in learning about crypto and Bitcoin when it's not sexy and the price isn't going through the roof and it's in a bear market, then I'm going to ask that you pay less. But when Bitcoin is exploding in the summer of 2024 to the summer of 2026, which really this next bull market could be a lot longer due to a whole host of factors, which I've actually listed in a recent YouTube video that's exclusively on YouTube. And I'm going to leave that link below in the episode show notes. If it does last longer, Bitcoin price could get out of control and more people are just going to be interested in it. So if you want to get my time, then you're going to have to pay 1% of Bitcoin's price. And once again, I think that this is fair because Bitcoin today is at 34,000. So that means if you want to come on the podcast, it'd be about $340 to be a guest on the podcast. And if you want to get my time, it would be about $340 for an hour. Now, you may be saying to yourself, that's a crazy amount of money, Jarrett. What are you talking about? Well, if you come on and I'm able to answer some things for you and help you to basically understand Bitcoin or crypto better, it may be worth a lot more than $340 over the lifetime of the execution of the information that we may be able to discuss. So this is how I'm thinking about moving forward with both the podcast and my own personal energy around this. I've now worked in crypto professionally for about a year, and I currently work for a Bitcoin mining company. And I think it's time that I start to honestly monetize what I can monetize. I've spent countless hours building this podcast to where it is. We're coming up on episode 100. So if you want to be a guest and I don't know you, therefore I can't invite you on, then you're going to have to pay. And if you're listening to this and you want to be a guest, you can also pay in Bitcoin, which is kind of cool. And if you're interested to learn more about crypto, Bitcoin, NFTs, or anything that's part of the blockchain-backed ecosystem, I would go ahead and reach out to me before 2024, because after, it's going to have a cost. And after, as they would say, the game is not going to be free. Thanks for checking out this episode of More Than Blockchain. And as always, go ahead and follow us on social media at More Than Blockchain. And I say it all the time, but if you haven't done so, please go ahead and check out and subscribe to our YouTube. I'm putting exclusive content up there daily now, so go ahead and check that out. And I've also left the link below in the episode show notes that talks about why Bitcoin may be exploding in 2024 and 2025. It's a 3-minute video, and it's pretty cumbersome because it talks about the 4 events that could happen to send Bitcoin up to new all-time highs. So check that out. That's in the episode show notes. No matter where you listen to the podcast, please go ahead and subscribe. And if you enjoyed this episode or you know someone that's looking to get more information around crypto or Bitcoin, I would share it with them now because, as I've said on this episode, once 2024 hits, I won't be giving any information away on crypto, Bitcoin, NFTs, or any of the blockchain-backed ecosystem for free anymore. So Thanks again for checking out this episode of More Than Blockchain, and I will see you next time.